I look at the script. I do the stuff. I'm terrible that way.
I look at the script, I do the stuff. I'm gonna put that on the t-shirt.
I do as
Yes.
well.
Yes, yes.
The old Spencer Tracy quote is,
There you go.
"Say your lines and don't bump into the furniture." It's
Eh,
truly it.
Just
yeah.
walk around.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on the GachaCast here at Gacha Interact. In today's very special episode, we're very excited about today because we have a special guest, Ray Chase. Hey, nice to meet you, Ray Chase. How are you doing today?
Trace Mechanique d'analyse cardinal. All right, I'll be on my way. Thank you
Hey,
guys so much for
That's
having me.
all
I
right.
really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right, thank
We
you for
didn't even
watching
have
the
to
video.
ask him to do it. He was just gonna do it
Yeah,
anyways.
that's amazing. Wow. Yeah, we didn't have to ask. You already knew. You're like, they're gonna ask. So I'm just gonna get this out of the way. That
People
was
always
awesome.
ask me whenever I do that at a convention. They always say, "How many people
Oh
ask
yeah.
you to do that?" And I go, "No one ever asks. I just do it because I know what they're here for, and it's my job,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to do it. It's great.
That's
Give
awesome.
the
I love
people
that.
what they
Yeah.
want, baby."
That's hey, exactly. So I guess like the first thing I guess we kind of want to get into, obviously, I guess in a little bit more of a sense, we have Ray Chase here as being one of the people we're doing some interviews on, just getting to know maybe a little bit more about some voice actors. And obviously what most of you are going to know him as, obviously considering we are a Gacha channel, is most likely you're going to know him now, obviously with the phrase being said, as I guess Mr. Fontaine, if you will, himself, obviously Neuvillette, but beyond that, we want to know a little bit more about obviously the voice actor behind that as well. And so we have some things we kind of want to ask you, so I guess getting back to the first and foremost, obviously we love to know all of the roles that you guys have and done right now. You've got an insanely long repertoire actually, from Demon Slayer, from Tengen, also all the way over to the Final Fantasy series, getting into some video games, even to more recent video games as well, and older things like Evangelion. Is such a wide range and so many different characters as well. But first and foremost, I guess the question always comes down to is, what made you get into voice acting? Like, what really, like, how did you get into it? What made you kind of jump right in?
For me, I was always playing around with my voice. My dad did lots of voices at home, and would like tell us silly stories to go to sleep at night. And I just grew up kind of mimicking him and doing theater and doing demo reels even when I was like 10 years old, and just really interested in coming up with cool voices. And then I went to school for theater and film, and found myself kind of a natural fit with doing commercials and audiobooks and stuff like that. I did around 200 audiobooks, and started doing more fun stuff like anime and video games after about like 5 years of trying to get my foot in the door in the industry.
Okay, so
Yeah, I noticed like one of the first things we noticed was it goes as far back, at least in the entertainment sector, to something like Evangelion, right? Was there anything before that?
Well, so this is the problem of IMDb and Wikipedia and that sort of stuff. I was the
Yeah,
Evangelion redub, so that
right.
was only a few years ago.
See.
Evangelion was through Carrie Kiernan, who was the casting director on that one, and that was once I was firmly established in the industry. Not the 1995. I was 8 years old when that came out.
so you didn't do that voice. Oh
It's really
man, oh
impressive.
wow. So
Yeah, that's what's the other one that gets me into trouble? Oh, and yeah, and people think that I'm in X-Men, the original series. And,
oh
no,
yeah, that back in like 97 or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I love how those are the two that get you in trouble almost, and you're like, well, wait a minute, hold up. Are you looking for discounts on your favorite games? If so, Lootbar has got you covered. Lootbar is the go-to top-up service for all types of gamers for all types of games. And with that, Lootbar also offers tons of different benefits like delivery within 30 minutes of your purchase, if not even quicker and within seconds. They also have secure transactions because, well, for all games, including things like Genshin for instance, you only really need a UID and the server that it is with as well and associated with. That means that there's no need for any passwords or emails, so those things stay out of other people's hands and stay with you. Covering gachas like Genshin Impact and Love in Deep Space to other games like PUBG, Lootbar covers your transactions the more that you are going to game. And what's the best part? New users get 10% off of their first transaction as well. To start saving today with Lootbar, go ahead and click the link in the description or in the pinned comment as well. Now, let's get back to the content. I guess like in an overall sense, so it was kind of more like, it sounds like, especially with voice actors nowadays, the thing is almost, it almost seems like it's more well known to be a voice actor now, quote unquote. You know, obviously you had people back in the day that were very, very good and big at it, and a lot of them were, you know, actors as well. So it kind of helped them stay in a similar industry. But it seems like it took you kind of a little while, and maybe that it seems like that's been a normal thing, you know, for a while back when getting into the industry. It takes a hot minute to kind of get that. So what do you think was maybe your breakout role, or what was the kind of thing that made you maybe, you know, take that extra leap into, you know, the idea of maybe like video game industry and maybe other things like that, like shows and whatnot?
I think that my career and going through this kind of stuff on when you're doing it yourself, I guess there can be a discrepancy between what it might look like on the outside and what it actually is like. Um, because it was a series of small achievements rather than like one breakout thing that led to other opportunities. It was like, oh, I got my first role in an anime that's named, or I got my first role in a video game that's not just an iOS app. Things like that. I remember being in Kill Strain, very not well-known game on PS4, but being like, holy shit, I'm in a PS4 game as a couple of characters and things like that. So you just kind of, for at least for me, there was no like breakout thing where suddenly everyone knew my name or anything like that. It was just a very slow, gradual process, working in a lot of different medium, and just auditioning the whole dang time. I think a lot of people might look at my career and say, "Oh, he did Final Fantasy, and that led to a lot of things," but it really didn't. I wouldn't say that like any casting directors, especially around that time, really knew the game or played games like that or knew me from that game. It was more just having personal relationships, working my way up with each of the casting directors as additional voices, and then as larger and larger roles, just very very gradually. I'll say like one. This is something you could probably never figure out from just looking at an IMDb. Is
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect Andromeda. I played Efra de Tershov, who was an Australian. He ended up being an Australian blue a space alien guy, but it really was just a straight up auditioning for enemy voices that I booked. Then they said, we want you to play this other guy. He's going to be a Russian accent. Now he's going to be South African. No, he's going to be Australian. They brought me in each time, and each time I did a different accent, a different performance. And so they remembered me. Patrick Michalak, the sound director, was like, holy shit, this guy can do a lot of good stuff, and remembered me for the next game, which ended up being Anthem, and put me in for the lead role of that game. And then Anthem was a dismal failure, and nobody cared. But the point was that Patrick then brought me on, went on to Insomniac, and brought me on again there to be able to play roles without even having to put in an audition or anything like that. So it was really, it's really just a long, slow, slow kind of success story.
Yeah, which I guess is like the most normal thing, right? Like, I think a lot of people go up to voice actors a lot and they're like, what's like the thing? Like, what that got you big? How did you do it? What's your secret? And it's really
Right.
like at the end of the day, like you said, it's like
Truly.
just a lot of hard work, effort, commitment, and don't give up. Just
Yeah.
audition. Like, I have friends who've auditioned hundreds of times and still haven't landed their first role yet. And it's, you know, it can be discouraging, but if you really want to get out there at some point, you know, there is an element of luck in that, but you really just have to keep going. So I think that's great. That's a cool backstory too. And, you know, of how just like it leads to all of these other things, right? They don't just kind of show up
Exactly.
at your front door. You kind of have to do all of these little things, work up to it, kind of a thing.
When you can't make a living off of one role in this industry, you
Right.
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to be you have to be easy to work with and getting a reputation for being easy to work with. And I think that goes a longer way rather than what credits you might have booked that then go to other things.
That's
Absolutely.
something I've definitely heard from multiple people when they've gotten into this industry is you can have a great voice, you can do all these incredible things with one specific role, but if you can't get, like you talked about with, you know, a casting director or a sound director that really liked the sound that you could have and heard multiple different sounds that you could make rather than just, hey, I can do this one voice and I can do it really really well. It's like, that's great, but we're not looking for this one voice, you know. So it's very difficult to find someone who can do multiple voices, and that sounds like that's what they're looking for. So I guess kind of like those small little things that almost maybe probably at the time them coming back and be like, hey, can you do this accent? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? Just having
Yeah.
you change over and over again. It was like, okay, how many times do I have to do this? But I guess that kind of also gave them confidence to be like, hey, this guy can do a lot actually.
That's for sure. That's me for sure. But I also think there's plenty of other people who only do one voice and are great at one voice, and that's also a very viable way to make it in the industry. The thing that you must have in common between those two stories is being easy to work with. You have to be easy to work with, because you showing up on time, answering messages, and being directable. Those are the most important things,
Yeah,
more
that's
than
like
anything.
that's exactly what Joe would shove down my throat. Joe Zija, he shoves
Hmm.
that down your throat. Like you just got to be easy to work with. If
It's
you don't have
true.
to be like omega good at it, you don't have to be like a prodigy. If you just,
Exactly.
like you said, show up on time, do what you're told, eh, people are gonna like you because they just want you for you. They're not like, looking for this crazy extra thing or whatever. So yeah, no, I think that's great. But so that's, I guess, kind of your story of like how you got into voice acting, just the generic, it sounds generic, and I'm not wanting to take away from that, but like it really is just showing like you just got to put the work in. So like that's how you got into it. And kind of similar to me, actually, my dad likes to do voices and stuff too. Kind of grew up with that. Kind of a silly family. We always like to impersonate things, stuff like that as well. So I can kind of resonate with that. But out of all of like the different projects you've done, because like we've said, you have a massive repertoire. If you had to pick one, which I know may be hard, what has been one of your favorite ones that
Fire
you've done?
Emblem.
Fire Emblem?
Roy Fire Emblem. I'll
Yeah.
interrupt you right there. He's my freaking favorite, man. It's the truth. I grew up playing Melee, and that's one where I just could not believe that I got to be a part of,
Yeah.
got to play a character, originate a character who I grew up playing. That's something that never
That
ever
is
happened.
cool. That is cool. Like
So
just thinking about like playing a game and like one day you're that character and you're like, wow,
yeah,
I
that
became
one
the main
means
character.
that one means so much to me, and especially because it keeps coming back. Because I did them for Fire Emblem Heroes a ton of
True.
times, and then for Smash Brothers, that was
Oh yeah.
the one true role for all of them that I was like, holy crap, I actually got to do that. It only took 20 minutes, but it meant the world to me.
That's still so cool because, like you said, it's kind of like you kind of always grow up. You're like, this is kind of one of the reasons I want to do what I do. And then when you kind of get to be in that almost like one thing, you were like, look, if I could choose this one thing, or maybe even if it's not one of those things, even saying I grew up with this is cool. It's definitely something that, once again, it makes a lot of people, it kind of puts the dream in their eyes already to do what they do, and then to actually be able to do it and not think that, okay, I can get in the industry, but there's no way I land that. And then you get to it. Just, I'm sure that's definitely something that's just like, okay, that gave me like more confidence to want to do either more, or probably it was more like, you know what, I almost like I've completed, washing my hands, I'm done. That's it.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
So I guess like overall, with I guess the entirety of how you've done things in the industry, how you have maybe different people kind of, always asking you these questions, I guess getting into maybe more specific roles, because now we've talked, and even at the beginning we talked about Neuvillette. Obviously people who are going to be
Or
watching
Trace
this,
Mechanic
they're,
Denali's
they,
Karina.
there we go. They're bringing it up again. I love it. And so I guess with that one specifically, obviously, at that point in time, we've even talked about this obviously because we are, Gacha content creators, and we are a little bit more in the sphere. So Fontaine, for Genshin at least, was probably especially one of the most lucrative times, but definitely one of the best time periods that the game has had. And so I guess looking back, how did, I know especially with Genshin, they do things pretty early. Obviously, I know there are certain things you can't say, but more like, how did kind of that come into fruition? Was that something that somebody came to you with and heard your voice, or was that a casting director, or was that something you were like, you know what, I've heard this game sounds really cool. That's a cool character. The tall dude
Oh
sounds
no
awesome.
way. No, yeah. I wish, man. No, this was Chris Fiella, who's the casting director and voice director for the game. We go way back. We worked on Star Ocean 5, a game, or wait, Star Ocean 5. I did two of those games. Star Ocean 5 I think was Blind Light. Star Ocean, I have to Google myself. This is where
That's gotta feel weird. Does that ever feel weird, like when you Google yourself or you like put
I
in your own
used to
name in a
think
search
that
bar and it comes
I
out
would
Neuvillette?
listen to interviews with like veteran voice actors and go like, how can you not know? And now I'm like, you can absolutely not know. Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Ocean. My apologies. Star Ocean: Integrity and Faithlessness. I played Dax because I was also in Star Ocean 6 as another character. Dax was not a large character. The Divine Force. I was also in that one as Theo Clemrath. There we go. Thank you, Internet. I was in that game, small part, but got along with Chris really well. We had like
Yeah.
2 or 3 sessions. Worked on a couple of other things. I'm trying to remember what it was, but it's just like random one-off things. We were both starting our careers in the voice industry, so we remembered each other. So then it was then I got sent the auditions for all the Fontanian characters, and you really don't. When you get an audition for something, you really don't know much. You can try to get a sense of the
Context is
character,
little.
but there's only so much you can do. We didn't have any character art or anything to go off of.
Oh, that
So I
sounds
didn't know how
rough.
sexy Neuvillette was, and I just did my best stab at it. And I gotta say for Neuvillette, that was one where I auditioned with a voice. It was the copy was very much about how he is a judge. A lot of his quotes were about having order in the court and stuff like that, and it was also a lot about him needing to figure out emotion, human emotion, sort of like someone who is alien to humanity and
Yeah.
emotions. And I did an audition and I got the part and I went in and I did it. And when you do first meet him, most of his dialogue is about order in the court and doing a lot of legal stuff. And so we gave him this voice that I auditioned with, which was a much sterner voice, a little bit meaner almost, and very cold, which was that emotionless thing. But then we got to that graveyard scene with Navia, and I was like, oh, this is what he means by emotionless. He is a compassionate person who has problems understanding how emotion works, but comes from such a compassionate place. And the voice just kind of changed on its own. I was like, can I re-record all the dialogue we did? And thankfully, they all said yes for it, which was
That's awesome.
almost never done in the industry. But I think part of it has to do with my reputation for being very fast. I'm a really, really fast at doing any
Turnaround
kind
and
of
stuff.
dubbing or acting, and usually very good at cold reading and can do several hundred loops an hour. And that one I think turned out so much better than the original voice that we had used for
Hey,
Neuvillette.
that's really cool though.
It ended up being perfect. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
something I have a lot of gratitude for.
Yeah, how many Genshin players don't know that? Like, oh yeah, Neuvillette's all of these lines that when you first meet him, those aren't original. Like, they were originally like concrete, right? But now it's like, okay, let's go back and do it again. I want to change that. That's really cool. I didn't know that. So
I think like overall, like that's like you said. I think that's something that we, especially with how anybody who's done a voice in a game, especially especially something like Genshin. This is a game that's been out for 5+ years at this point, and it's something that a lot of people have connected to, and a lot of different characters connect. And there's a lot of heart-wrenching parts of the story, and I think Fontaine definitely had multiple of those parts. And I think like it especially with voicing, it seems like obviously a lot of voice actors, and it sounds like voice actors, voice actresses, everybody kind of, it almost like you can tell that at a certain point they become the character as well. And that's just, especially as a player at the very least, it's very cool to see like and hear how much, because you almost kind of get thrown into the world, and that's like what voice acting really does. And to see like you can almost hear the time and effort that it takes to really go through each of this. And it even shows even more that we know that that wasn't just a one take that you were like, oh, okay, I did my one take, it sounds good, okay, I'll just change him a little bit later, I'll redo his voice, later on, but I'm not going to redo all of the lines, and that's, once again, that's amazing, thankfulness to the casting director and the team that took the time to be like, okay, yeah, we'll change this over, we think this is a good change, because, that's very, very great of them. But it's also nice to see like the voice actor to be like, you know what, I think I can do better, and I think like now that I've seen this part of him, I can make him a little bit better almost. And once again, just shows maybe the maybe attention to detail, what certain like all characters get, but especially something like this opens your eyes a little bit more.
Thank you. Yeah, I care about video games very much. I think that sometimes people take them a little less seriously than they should, and I think people spend way more time playing with a single video game than with a movie or TV or anything like that. So I always think that you should put your all into it.
That is true, yeah. Especially nowadays with like the seasonal stuff, games are definitely sat on for a longer period of time than they used to be. Just in the like the retro kind of way of things, right? It was everything was cartridge, and now we're just in the digital era where now we've got seasonal stuff, And Genshin is definitely gacha games just as a rule. Like the people that play these games have been here for years, and maybe some new players as well, but they're going to be here for a while if they want to see the end of the story, because the story is only coming out so fast, right? It's not just all thrown at you and you buy a physical disc copy of Genshin Impact and put it in and all right, play the story. It's much more than that. So that is, yeah, it's really cool to hear about that. And so I guess like we're grateful as players to know that like just how much work goes into it behind the scenes that we don't always think about or always sit down to appreciate as much. So definitely hearing from you that's awesome, man. So I guess with Chris Fiella, that's with Formosa Studios, correct?
I think so. Yes. We recorded at Formosa. Yes.
Okay, so that kind of you talking about that story, this is what I forgot about earlier, but you talking about that kind of proved the point of like how you just worked from the ground up, just do the auditions, just it wasn't like any major role, it was just work up into it, and eventually you're there. You said you knew Chris early on, something like you went to school together, whatever, or he was starting his career at the same time, and then he got somewhere, but because you knew him, that got you somewhere, and so it's just cool how seeing that making connections early on will get you somewhere, and if you're sticking it out. So I thought that was a really
100%.
cool point to just prove what we talked about earlier. So
Yeah, definitely.
Dependability.
You should always treat everyone with respect. There's two really big ones. There was a lady who worked as a casting assistant at a commercial casting studio, and then I met her at a party, and she is now head of casting herself over at Netflix. And
that's
then
awesome.
there was another one who had her own little production company. I took a class with her early on when she was starting her production company, and then Leilani, and then it ended up being that she was head of sound at Sony herself. So you never know
Wow.
where people are going to go in their careers. So always
Yeah,
treat everyone with respect.
absolutely.
Well, it seems kind of cool because it's like you're saying, I mean, it's all about, and I think a lot of people especially take that almost to a negative connotation where it's like, oh, you just got to make connections and kind of almost like an idea of like using people. But it's definitely like you're like, you gotta, it's beyond just being like, oh, just make a connection, just talk to someone just to talk to someone,
Exactly.
instead of doing that, I'm gonna guess that besides at the party that you were talking about, you probably didn't just walk up, oh, so you're a this, right? So, when's the next audition you can give me, or something, you know what I mean? It's like you're saying, even
Well, but both of those women were from. I knew them from the professional space. I'm terrible at parties. I can't do that, unfortunately. But it was just like, hey, this is a receptionist. You should be nice to them.
yeah,
But not. I had no idea that they were going to go so far in their careers or anything like that. But just the basic human niceness, I think,
yeah,
Don't burn
leaves you with a good
bridges.
reputation. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, just treating
Yeah, that's
everybody.
awesome, man.
I think the exact thing you said, treating everyone with respect is. I mean, it's the same thing in the content creator sphere. It's a very similar idea.
Mhm.
It's like, look, certain people are farther along in their career than they're not. Some people may get to a certain place, but even still, and that's the whole reason we actually got through this channel was more or less just getting to know people and like actually just hearing people's stories. And it's kind of crazy where and how people can get to, and hearing those stories is kind of cool, almost cooler to an extent than sometimes even getting anywhere yourself. So it's kind of cool to see all that. But one of the questions I guess I did want to ask as well, we talked about like the Neuvillette role, we talked about obviously one of your favorite roles in Fire Emblem. Is there a specific character that you feel maybe not that maybe didn't take a lot of work to do, but it was maybe more like it felt like it was an extension of yourself, like it embodied almost who you might be, and someone you really took to heart, maybe as a character or even a
It's
whatever.
it's a question I get a lot, and I gotta say, man, I voice characters who are a billion, million, trillion times cooler than I ever could be. I'm just a fucking loser who plays video games all day. I'm not a prince who has to take the throne and fight his nemesis while flying around the screen. I'm not a 1,000-year-old entity, demonic entity. I'm so unbelievably boring. There is one character who's a lot like me who it was a very little known character, and that's Usahara in Uramichi Onisan, which is an anime about miserable actors, and I am exactly that miserable actor. That is
Oh
it. That
no.
is who I am most like.
I love that because I know a lot of people always say like, if there was anybody I could be, I'd want to embody this person, or I feel like a part of me. And I love how you your instant choice wasn't, I want to be like this. I see myself in this person. I love that. But once again, it kind of goes to show like, there's always with all the roles that you've done, it's such a wide range that sometimes it's you can almost get lost in just doing a voice. That sometimes almost just doing the voice and kind of changing what you can do for the role is sometimes all it can take just to kind of completely change an act, which is just kind of cool to me.
Hell yeah.
You're like, you're not Ray Chase anymore. You are Neuvillette. Like, someone calls for Ray and you're just no response, but they say, "All right, Neuvillette," and you're just like, yes.
I wish I'm so much less cool than that. I am a journeyman voiceover guy who never gets lost in anything. I'm very boring and cut and dry.
You
Maybe I should be better at answering these questions and say like, oh, I get lost in the character, but that's never happened, man.
you
No, this is great.
I look at the script, I do the stuff. I'm terrible that way.
I look at the script, I do this stuff. I'm gonna put that on the t-shirt.
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
The old Spencer Tracy quote is
There you go.
say your lines and don't bump into the furniture. It's truly it.
Just walk around.
Yeah.
Pad a room up so you can walk around. I love it. So I guess like we've talked about I guess some of the other things that you've acted in, something where not to say you didn't have any control over, but something where you were given direction. Now it has come to our attention that you have done something on your own and a video game actually. Is there any way you could give us some insight on that as well?
That's true. So over the last 7 years, I've been working on and finally released, which sounds crazy to say, a video game called Date Everything. It's a game where you can date every single object in your house, as well as incorporeal objects, as well as date the game itself.
Which is
It's
hilarious, by the way.
one point.
It's been
Yeah.
fun.
You been playing it?
Not me, not us, but we have in our Discord, some people have been playing it, and we've actually been watching them play it. It is fun to watch.
It's hilarious. I'm
Great
not gonna lie.
game.
It's really easy
Great
to
game
watch.
to watch someone play. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's was a labor of love. Put in 102 different voice actors, and also paid residuals
so
to
many.
them. We wanted to kind of make a slight change in the game industry, be the change we wanted to see in the world. Over the course of that time, I had to wear a lot more hats than I initially thought I would, but I ended up being the director, narrative designer, lead writer, and story programmer for it,
That's
as
awesome,
well as
man.
producing and executive producing it. Yeah, it
So
was
7 years.
a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That was before Genshin Impact.
I think
Yes, indeed. It was before COVID. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah,
What a different world.
when you put it
man.
like that, it makes it almost sound worse. I think like that's like it's so cool. I mean, once again, because like that's the thing, right? You talk about you just I'm just a boring guy who loves video games, and then you go out and make a video game that. Once again, I think the best way to describe Date Everything is, I mean, it's literally straight up in the title. That's first and foremost. But I think like it's so funny how the game doesn't take itself seriously. And honestly, in a lot of games that are extremely, have a lot of like raw emotion and stuff in it, it's so carefree and so just once again, I think it's like a great like let's play, if that makes almost any sense, like games to an extent where it's like I would love to play this myself, but it is borderline 10 times funnier watching someone else watch it, like play it, and especially when the things come out of nowhere. It's very interesting, hilarious game that you don't know what's going to come next. You have no clue
Exactly.
what or who the voice and the
Who voices this?
random
I likened the game when designing it to a treasure chest that just you keep getting to open over and over again, and you get something new every single time. That's what I wanted to continually give surprises to the player, because the easiest trap to get in would be make 100 characters and you have to be nice to all of them, and then they all have the same story and they all are exactly the same. It would feel so boring, and I
Mhm.
wanted to make it fun.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like Persona very not doesn't do that. They're different characters and they do plenty of different things, but it's kind of like you almost kind of have to balance a lot of like every character and kind of. But I mean, there's a point
Yes.
where there's a safe, there's a toilet, there's anything and everything that you could think of. But once again, it's the funniness of seeing those things, but it's also to hear a brand new voice and to it's like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, and hearing them almost have their take on their character as
Yeah,
well
yeah, or even
hundreds
just
of
the
times.
character design has been really interesting. Like,
Yes.
wait, this flower pot in the corner, what are they gonna look like as a,
Mhm.
in humanoid form? Like, it's just
And the
fun to
attention
watch.
to
It's a great
detail and the
game.
small little things as well. And obviously,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
we'll throw some stuff up here and there over time, obviously with the game as well, maybe some gameplay. But it's definitely you could tell it's definitely been a labor of love, and I'm not surprised that it took 7 years.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I wanted it to be a game that said yes to everything, where you'd say, "Well, did this update if I did this?" And we would say, "Yes, it did. We did notice that you did that." Like, say uh, uh, the examine box is something that's not even tutorialized in the game. When you go up to something and right click it, it brings up a little joke. And then it brings up a different joke if you have a love or a friendship ending for every single thing in the house, as well as even the things that are outside of the house where you can glitch out, that you can still examine every single goddamn thing in there. And it'll be
that's
a
crazy.
different joke for every single thing. It's that level of manic detail that I think surrounds the game with a real sense of humanness, that there's someone on the other side saying, "Yep, hi there, we
Yeah.
see you."
Yeah. A game made by a gamer for gamers, and that's where you really see it's the labor of the love and the passion there.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, I'm about to say we need to put that. That's another quote needs to be thrown on a T-shirt. A game made by a gamer for gamers. But overall, I think obviously we want to thank you for your time that you've obviously thrown into, and thank you obviously for jumping on and taking the time to talk to us today. And
Yeah,
it
thank you. Thank you.
especially someone of obviously your caliber, getting to just taking the time to just chill. And hey, I'm just a boring guy who just plays video games, and it's like, damn, all right, just talking to preaching to the choir at that point. Um,
Right, exactly.
I think looking back on your career, there's so many different things obviously that you've gotten to do and been able to do. You know, I was talking about to this about Rift, obviously on we're trying to obviously we have some other things with some other VAs as well. That's for some our audience as well. Ray will not be the one and only that we have lined up, and we want to kind of ask each and every one, because a lot of people when you get to conventions, and you've even stated this before, so many people ask you so many different questions, and we actually went to a convention in the past as well, and I know Rift was able to talk to a lot of different VAs, and there's always I was asking him, okay, if there was a way to kind of say this one question, which I gave to him, and it was like, okay, is this how you would ask it? And he was like, no, don't do that. I was like, all right, then how should I ask this? So I'm going to read this verbatim because I'm going to mess it up. And the question is, looking back in your career path, what was the one thing that you think that you did that boosted your career to where you are today? What was that maybe you did the most? If basically, what was something you would tell an aspiring voice actor, looking to get into the career? What would you tell them?
For me, is now we're talking a generation between when I first started and now,
Right.
and things have changed so much. But I think what stayed the same is always be looking for opportunities, and don't say no to anything, no matter how unsexy it might be. Um, Putting yourself out there as much as possible. I know Ben Starr and Alex Lee are great actors who are finding a lot of opportunities, and you might think, oh, it's because they're auditioning, and yeah, of course they can audition and then do all that sort of stuff, but they also, like, Ben flies himself out to Los Angeles to go to conventions to meet other developers and stuff. Alex drives around the country every time there's like even the faintest whiff of maybe I can make an appearance here, or maybe meet a producer on something. Going that extra mile for every single opportunity really sets you apart from everybody else. But you can't do that unless you're talented. So you also have to be talented too, and
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to judge. Of course. So I guess I'm not just saying, hey, go out and put yourself out there like crazy. But if you have some things under your belt, if you find something like even myself, yeah, I would do things like this. So like I was the voice of Welch's grape juice a long time ago, and I was found myself near Portland, Maine, where the ad agency was, and I was like, I'm getting in the car, I'm gonna drive up to Portland, Maine, meet Jerry, the ad rep, and bake him some cookies and give him some stuff. Those kinds of things, that personal attention, really goes a long way to help you to help you get stuff. Um, yeah. Although now I think about it, that so like yeah so this is a yeah here's what I'm saying. So that particular anecdote, I never saw Jerry again. He was a very nice man. It was a great time to go there. It didn't particularly lead to anything um yet, but I was constantly doing things like that for everybody who I met, and going that extra mile, and those things start adding up, where you find yourself in the right place at the right time, and that only happens because you're putting yourself out there so many times.
Repetition is
it's
key.
definitely something we've heard consistently, at least through what you've said, and it's consistency and always doing that. But at the end of the day, it's giving the other person the mutual respect that you're hoping that they'll show you as well. But at the end of the day, just use, like you said, just the normal, like regular, just respect and human niceness that you would expect to be
Exactly.
given to yourself, you give to other people, no matter how high or low they might be. And like you said with Jerry, you've talked a lot about how you've had these relationships that you've built over time because you've done some things. But that Jerry thing, at least what it tells me is that sometimes it may not eventually come to an immediate thing that you might get, but it's still showing. And I'm sure you don't even regret doing that, because once again, it's that just normal human niceness and respect and mutual respect you can give to each and every single person. So
How
Yeah.
can you regret that? How can you regret being, you know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Do stuff for free. Do favors, whenever possible. Just be easy to work with, for sure.
absolutely. Also, we need to put that whatever you said on another T-shirt. Something about so unsexy. What did you say?
No matter what
Uh,
unsexy it is.
No matter how
yeah.
unsexy it is, do it. Take the
Yeah. It's
opportunity.
stuff like
That's going on a T-shirt.
it's stuff that, like, sure, it might not pay anything, or
Hmm.
I got my start doing Russian iPhone app phone games, but Dmitry Kuzmenko kept hiring me over and over again, and that led to other things. So, and then the people who worked with Dmitry ended up working at a couple of other companies out there. So you never know. Yeah, just say yes to everything
Say yes to everything and date everything. Got it.
and
That's
date everything. Damn it.
well. Once again, we don't want to take too much of your time. Once again, I want to thank you for obviously joining us today and taking the time to do the interview. If it's beyond anything else, obviously, if you want to know a pretty fun, I'm actually I actually do already have it on Steam, so I'm actually already gonna play it at some point. If you guys do want to, obviously go check out Date Everything. It's a hilarious, funny game. But also, besides that, Ray, is there anything, where can people find you? Social media, anything else you want to shout out or anything like that?
I rarely post on Instagram. I'm at It's Ray Chase, and that's about it, unfortunately. But yeah, there will be more things in the future. We'll see what comes out of the hopper next. Can't quite reveal just yet.
No, okay, well, we'll be waiting. We'll be waiting for the voice to come around, whether it be another Neuvillette cutscene we're gonna wait for, or if it's gonna be it looks like another movie is cooking up for a certain series that we're waiting for as well. So we're definitely
Ah,
anticipating
nice.
some more Ray appearances, if you will.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
you'll see that for sure. I am excited for more Neuvillette. He's got so much unfinished business with those archons. He has to come back.
Has
Yeah,
to,
he really
has to.
has to. Yeah.
All right. Well, once again, thank you obviously for joining. And if you guys did enjoy the video, obviously please go ahead and like and subscribe. Go check out Ray, even though he may not be, that available. Obviously, if we're gonna wait to see if whenever he decides to make his way on down over and see if you can, catch him at a convention. But once again, thank you obviously to Ray once again for joining us, and thank you guys for watching the video. We'll see you guys in the next one.